quieter side per usual for Saquon. And if you're watching on the YouTube right now, I apologize. We had a bit of a technical difficulties. The YouTube, you're going to miss the first few minutes of the show, but I think we should be up and running on the YouTube now. We'll try to be better next time with the YouTube end. But for people on the radio, we're still rocking and rolling. Again, though, back to the Dallas Goedert thing. 2 catches, 24 yards, and a touchdown. Didn't do too much, but the other thing is, I mean, it was 34-6. Take the stats with a grain of salt in a game like this. Literally just take the stats with a grain of salt because the starters didn't really play much in the late of the third quarter. They didn't really play at all in the fourth quarter. There's really no reason for them to play. So take the stats with a grain of salt. Just know this Eagles performance was just so impressive, and I loved exactly what I saw from just about everybody, except for the beginning, which we already talked about. Let's talk about A.J. Brown because A.J. Brown deserves some flowers. A.J. Brown deserves some praise because he did A.J. Brown things. 5 catches, 109 yards. And I'll just tell you what, he and Jalen Hurts just have a special bond, a special chemistry, a special connection. The A.J. Brown to Jalen Hurts deep ball, or I guess it would be the Jalen Hurts to A.J. Brown deep ball, it's one of the best in all of football. Say what you want about Jalen Hurts, but in terms of his deep ball accuracy, he might be the best deep ball thrower in all of football right now. His deep ball is so good, especially when it's going to A.J. Brown. I feel so confident when I see Jalen Hurts slinging it deep. I really do. Because most of the time, it's going to work. Most of the time, it is going to work. And A.J. Brown was doing his thing, getting only 5 catches, but every time A.J. Brown touched the football, you could just feel the difference he was making in the game. Every time he touched the football, he was getting 10, 15, 20 yards. He was on fire. And again, that's what happens when we have a Goddard, a Smith. Devontae Smith didn't do a whole lot in this game. When we have so many weapons, you don't need to touch the ball 10 times to make a difference. A.J. Brown can touch the ball 5 times and do A.J. Brown things when we have all these weapons all over the place. You just can. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. Barkley probably had his most quiet game as an Eagle yet. Only 14 carries for 66 yards. But again, his number really didn't need to be called. Why give him touches when he doesn't necessarily need them? There's no need with his injury history, his injury risk. If Saquon Barkley doesn't really need a whole lot, let him relax. He's done more than enough so far throughout this point of the season. We're going to get to our first call here in just a minute because I'm seeing what this call is going to be about. And I want to talk about Nick Sirianni. And it's what obviously we were all going to allude to. Let's talk some Nick Sirianni because for once, I'm actually going to praise Nick Sirianni. Now, again, granted, it was against the Dallas Cowboys without Dak Prescott. But Nick Sirianni just stayed out of the way for once. He just let the game breathe. He just kind of just game managed as the coach. That's all he kind of did. Made no really crucial decisions. No crucial decisions really need to be made. It was a really simple game script. So, again, we'll give him a slight pat on the back. But, hey, we've seen him in games like this just make way too many overcomplicated decisions and just doing way too much. In this game, he just kind of... If you can't see me in the studio, I'm just smacking my hands like you're taking out the trash. He just did what he had to do. No reason to go for any crazy fourth downs or anything. He just let the game breathe. It was one of his better games as head coach. Again, I know it was against the Cowboys, but again, we've seen... take the Jags game, for example, last week. Because that game, the Eagles were taking out the trash. Next thing you know, the Jags are getting ready to steal this victory in Philadelphia. This week, not so much. Not so much. So I like what I saw in Nick Sirianni. I really did. He deserves credit. I'll be the first to tell you. I haven't been the biggest fan of Nick Sirianni, but credit is deserved when he does well. So we're going to do our first caller here. He gets a call about Nick Sirianni. Let's hear what this guy has to say. You're listening to JD Dorazio on WSYC 88.7 FM. So that's an interesting. Thanks for the call, Zach. I appreciate you calling in. That's an interesting one. If you take away his 1-5 stretch, his record is impeccable. Here's my problem with that. Couldn't you say that for pretty much any coach? Well, if you take out the 6 or 7 games where he was a pretty bad coach, he's actually a pretty good coach in all the other games. If you take out the sample where he's bad, of course he's going to look good. Again, I get where you're coming from. I get what you're trying to say. But I don't know. I'm not buying it. Again, Nick Sirianni, like I said, I think I said it last week, where if Nick Sirianni runs the table with his team, takes them to the promised land, they get that bling bling, Nick Sirianni can be say the Eagles coach for many more years. But we can't overreact to a game against the Dallas Cowboys where Dak Prescott was not playing. He did what he had to do to win this game, but I think most coaches would be able to win this game with this roster. With this roster, all you need is a coach that's just going to click the right buttons when they need to be clicked. Nick Sirianni tries to do way too much. I think Nick Sirianni sometimes thinks he's a player on the field and his voice, his presence needs to be felt. It really doesn't with this roster. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. Again, I get what you're saying. I'm still on the fire Sirianni train. But again, I'll credit him when credit's deserved. This week, he deserved his credit. He just stayed out of the way, let his players play, left Dallas with a W, and we move on to Washington. Again, thank you for the call, but I'm not buying it. I'm not buying if you take out his 1-5 stretch, he's a really good head coach. You could say that for most head coaches where you can just pinpoint a spot in their tenure where they weren't good, remove that, and say, well, they're good outside the part where they were bad. I'm not buying it. But again, appreciate the call. Got another caller coming in. We're gonna get to him in a minute. But I want to talk about this defense because this is what his call is about. It's actually a good buddy of mine who has a show on WSYC. I'll shout him out. It's Kevin Carr. He's live on Saturday nights, I want to say. Kevin, if I'm messing that up, I'm sorry. But we're gonna hear from Kevin here in a minute because this defense was incredible in this game. Again, no Dak Prescott. I know I said it time and time over and over. But still, against an NFL roster, you gave up 2 field goals in the first half, 1 in the first, 1 in the second quarter. One of those field goals, by the way, is when the offense turned the ball over inside the 20-yard line. So you can kind of scratch those 3 points off of this game because really that wasn't on the defense. So really, the Dallas Cowboys offense was only able to secure 3 legitimate points in this entire game. If you want to count as 6, count as 6. But I'm only counting as 3 legitimate points this entire game. That is absurd. I talked about it last week with this defense. I'm going to pull up the numbers again because this defense, granted, mostly against teams they should beat, but against the teams they should beat, this defense has put up incredible numbers. Such good numbers. Here's the numbers again. Against the Saints, they gave up 12 points. Against the Browns, they gave up 16 points. Against the Giants, they gave up 3 points. Against the Bengals, they gave up 17 points. Against the Jaguars, they gave up 16 points. Yes, the Jaguars scored 23. That was because they had an offensive turnover for 6. So the defense only gave up 16 points. And against the Cowboys, they gave up 3 points. I said it last week. I'll say it again. This defense is elite. This defense is elite. Vic Fangio has transformed this defense. He really has, and I love what I've seen. We're going to hear from Kevin in a minute. Actually, we're going to hear from him right now, actually. I'm stumbling my words. Here's Kevin Carr with the call. Let's see what Kevin has to say about the defense.
Really saw something in him, was really penciled in as the starter, set in stone, was not going to move, and everybody was super skeptical in training camp, preseason, and he's been absolutely stellar this year. That gets me into my take. I think that Howie needs to walk up to Bond's locker and give him a blank check. I'm tired of linebacker play that leads after a year like Kaiser White and not locking up guys with talent like TJ Edwards. We need to lock up Zach Bond tomorrow, right now. Not even tomorrow, right now. He needs to be an Eagle for the rest of his career. Love the show, man. Keep up the good work. Peace.
Appreciate the call, Kevin. You keep up the good work. Again, Kevin, he has his show Saturday nights on WSYC. Make sure to tune in. Great buddy of mine. We watch a lot of football games together. But I agree. Zach Bond has been unbelievable this year. The Eagles, for years now, have been looking for good linebacker play. And what did we thought? It was Zach Bond is going to be the guy that does it for us? It's been unbelievable. In most games, he's leading this defense in tackles. He's just making big-time plays every single game. We thought Devin White was going to be the game-changing linebacker this year. No, it is Zach Bond. It is Zachary freaking Bond. Wow. I mean, again, even against the Cowboys, eight total tackles, led the team, had a fumble recovery. And here's the thing. So Kevin said give him a blank check. I think if you get him right now, you could probably get him on a multi-year deal for cheap. I really think you could. So don't give him a blank check. Come in with him now. Give him a team-friendly deal. I think he would take it. But I agree. I would love to see Zach Bond stay in the midnight green, the Kelly green, whatever you want to call it, for a long time. I would love it if we saw him in the Kelly green, the midnight green for a long time. So yeah, I'm down with keeping the Zach Bond train. But again, just Speaking in terms of defense as a whole, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean. I mean, I know we praise Quinyon Mitchell on the show, but Cooper DeJean deserves. Oh, he's phenomenal too on defense and special teams. I love seeing Cooper DeJean return punts. Every time I see him do a punt return, I expect to see something flashy, something fun, something cool, and most times he does not disappoint. And he's a great nickel corner. 2 great picks by Howie Roseman. They're going to dominate that secondary for such a long time. Get used to them. I think I might have to rock a Cooper DeJean jersey. I don't know. I think that'd be kind of heat. I'm actually thinking about pulling the trigger on one. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, I might have to go for another Phillies jersey. You know me. I'm rocking. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm rocking the P today. But yeah, defense was absolutely phenomenal. Now let's talk about another storyline that went down. As this was a really big talking point, and I really want to mention it. On the Dallas Cowboys side, and this involves its owner, Jerry Jones, and its receiver, CeeDee Lamb. So this was either the second quarter or the third quarter, I forget, one or the other, but the Cowboys were actually driving and had one of their chances to score. Actually, I think it was in the second quarter, now that I recall. And CeeDee Lamb was wide open for a touchdown. Cooper Rush threw an okay ball. It wasn't right on CeeDee Lamb, but it was catchable, and CeeDee Lamb never really went for it, and that was because he claimed the sun was in his eyes due to how AT&T Stadium's glass windows are saturated in place, and the way the sun dims in, it can be really blinding for players, which he has a point. I saw fan POVs and perspectives. That sun has always been a problem at AT&T Stadium for years, but CeeDee Lamb made his frustration shown in a post-game presser, and Jerry Jones responded. So I'm going to play CeeDee Lamb's presser. I'm going to play Jerry Jones' presser, both talking about the same thing, then we're going to react to it.
Couldn't see the ball at all. The sun. But, yes, 1,000%.
Talk to me about that.
I mean, y'all doing my job right now.
So we do know where the damn sun's going to be in our own station.
Why not put the curtains in? Why not mitigate that?
What?
The sun and
Well, let's
CD's
just tear the damn stadium down, build another. You kidding me?
But it's not, you don't have to go that way.
Everybody's got the same thing. Every team that comes in here has the same issues. They know where the sun's going to be. So our team has the same thing.
So it's more on Mike not understanding where the sun is and not
I'm
knowing
not
which.
I'm saying the world knows where the sun is. You get to know that almost a year in advance. So someone asked me about the sun, and so that.
Everyone knows where the sun is. CeeDee Lamb asking for some curtains. Jerry Jones, looks like you're not getting any curtains anytime soon. CeeDee Lamb. I mean, this is just cinema. I mean, who doesn't have a smile on their face when we see when they pan to Jerry Jones' press box every time the opposing team scores, or when the Dallas Cowboys do something stupid on the field, an interception, a turnover, whatever. I mean, it is just cinema. It is just beautiful to see. Every broadcast does it, whether it's NBC, Fox, CBS, ESPN, NFL Network, all of them. Whenever something bad happens to the Cowboys, the first shot on every broadcast is Jerry Jones' press box, where he just has the best reaction face ever. Then stuff like this happens. We're arguing about how the stadium's built and sun being in the players' eyes, and the Cowboys players want curtains, and Jerry Jones saying, well, it's the same conditions for both sides, which he obviously has a fair point. But I don't know. I mean, maybe if your players want curtains, get some curtains. I don't know. I see both sides. But the fact that this is an argument in a year where the Cowboys spent all the money in the world, they went all in. They made Dak the highest paid player. They gave CeeDee Lamb a bag. Who knows what's going to happen to Micah Parsons? They paid Dak all this money. He goes down. Mike McCarthy, he's going to get fired here. He might even get fired before their next game. Either way, he's going to be fired at the end of the season. And now players are complaining that they can't see. Love it. Oh, I'm a little bit off the rocker day. I don't know if you noticed. I'm just beaming with excitement. I don't know if it's because we beat the Cowboys, or it was a great weekend of football. So many good things to talk about. We're gonna take our first time out right now, but we're gonna be back. When we come back, we're gonna talk about the other games across the league, because there is a lot, and I mean a lot, to talk about. But again, if you want to get out, you listen to your voicemails during the break. If you want to get in, please feel free to call in 717-356-9269. Again, 717-356-9269. If you want to get in, this is JD Dorazio with WSYC 88.7 FM. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back to WSYC 88.7 FM. JD Dorazio here with you guys for the next 25 minutes or so. We'll see where the time takes us. But before we're going to talk about the CMFL, we actually have some breaking news coming out of the NBA with the Philadelphia 76ers. This news was just brought out. Joel Embiid is not listed on the injury report for tomorrow's game versus the Knicks. The return is official. So Joel Embiid, we're going to be talking about the Sixers here in just a little bit, but Joel Embiid officially back for the 76ers, going to be making his season debut against the Knicks tomorrow night. Happy to see the process is back. Again, we'll talk about the Sixers here in a little bit, but for now, let's talk about the past week of NFL games. What was it? Week 10. Week 10. We had some good finishes. We talked about the Eagles and the Cowboys. But I think other than that game, the biggest story was down in Kansas City, where the Chiefs just might be destined for a magical season. If you didn't hear what happened in the Chiefs game, take a listen to this. The Chiefs have won. The Chiefs have won. Kevin Harlan doing Kevin Harlan things. The Chiefs find a way to stay undefeated after let's just all say it, they deserved to lose that game against the Broncos. But they win 16-14 as the Chiefs block the game-winning chip shot field goal from the Broncos and advance to 9-0. Wow. Talk about a team of destiny as they look for their first ever three-peat. I mean, just think of all the things that happened this year for the Chiefs. We have the blocked field goal against the Broncos. If you remember all the way back to week 1, they had the Isaiah Likely catch where his toe stepped on the out-of-bounds line that cost the Ravens to lose. Against the Falcons, there was a big 4th down that they blew. Earlier in the season, I forget who it was against, but the Chiefs had a 4th and forever, but there was a PI call that allowed them to keep their drive alive. What I'm trying to say is they could easily have 3 or 4 losses right now, but somehow, some way, they just continue to find ways to win games, and they just might be the team of destiny. That's why I have in my notes. Are they destined to win it all? They might be. They might be. The Chiefs actually might get this three-peat, and who knows, maybe they have the perfect season. I doubt it. Surely, it's going to catch up to them. They're going to drop one of these games. But either way, even if they drop a game or two, the Chiefs look like they are a force to be reckoned with. And it doesn't matter what happens. As long as Patrick Mahomes is at the helm at quarterback, they have a really good chance to win the game. It doesn't matter if Rashee Rice gets hurt, Isaiah Pacheco gets hurt, Travis Kelce gets banged up, people on the defense get banged up. It doesn't matter. If you have Patrick Mahomes in the game, the Chiefs are going to have a really good chance of getting the job done. So what a finish there for the Chiefs to remain undefeated. Another big result that actually has huge implications for the Eagles was the Steelers-Commanders game, where the Steelers were able to pull out a victory against the Commanders, 28-7. And this was a really entertaining game, back and forth all the way. Just a terrible, poor late game management by the Commanders, where one of their players jumped off sides on a 4th and 1 when the Steelers were just faking on going for it on 4th down. They were 100% going to punt that football away, and they get the Commanders to jump. The Steelers get to run the clock out. Why that game matters so much is now the Eagles get a 1-game buffer over the Commanders. Eagles have 2 losses, Commanders have 3 losses. The Eagles play the Commanders on Thursday. If the Eagles win that, in the blink of an eye, the Eagles are going to be up 2 games over the Commanders in just a matter of days. In a span of 5 days, actually. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah, 5 days. So the Eagles can get this win against the Commanders on Thursday. They're up 2 games. And even if they lose now against the Commanders, which I really hope they don't, but it's still a possibility. If they lose this game against the Commanders on Thursday, they'll be tied. Now, the Commanders will have the tiebreaker, but it's much better than being a whole game back as opposed to just be losing a tiebreaker. Eagles took advantage. They gained a game on the Commanders, and now we have a showdown coming up this Thursday night in football. But that was a huge result. A huge result for the Eagles, the Commanders losing. Then the last big game was the Sunday night game, it was about this time 24 hours ago, where the Lions beat the Texans despite Jared Goff throwing 5 interceptions. 5 interceptions, yet they still win 26-23, which leads to my next point. Are the Lions NFC favorites? Are the Lions the biggest threat to the Eagles in the NFC? And I think the answer is yes. They're just a complete team. They can run the football. They play great defense. Even without Aiden Hutchinson being on, that defense has still been great. Playmakers all over the field. Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, Jamison Williams. And if Jared Goff can just game manage, which is a big if, we saw the Rams try to do it for multiple years. They couldn't do it. Can he do it in Detroit? We're going to find out. But right now, I think the Lions should be the favorites and the team to beat in the NFC, which leads me to my top 10 teams in the NFL. A lot of people have been asking me to bring this back. I did it a lot last year, so we're going to bring it back this year. My top 10 teams in the league. Again, if you want to get in, number 717-356-9269. If you want to react to these rankings, feel free. We're going to start from 10, work our way up to 1. Start 10, work our way up to 1. At number 10, I have the Green Bay Packers at 6-3 on the year. Packers just an overall really good team. Their defense has been super underrated this year. I have some question marks around Jordan Love. He wins a lot of good games, but sometimes he has moments where just has me scratching my head. Josh Jacobs has been a great addition for the run game this year. Overall, I like what I see from the Packers, but I think they're still kind of on the bottom tier of the top teams, if that makes any sense. So give me the Packers at number 10. Moving on to number 9, give me the Los Angeles Chargers with his new head coach, John Harbaugh, who is turning this franchise around in the blink of an eye. They are 6-3 on this year. This team has an identity. It's a play good defense. At the beginning of the year, they were running the football a lot, but believe it or not, even though it's a John Harbaugh-led team, they're actually passing the ball a lot in recent weeks, and it is working. It is working. It was only a matter of time before Justin Herbert actually got a coach that knew how to utilize him perfectly. I think him and John Harbaugh are working hand in hand. Love what I see out the Chargers, and I think they could make some noise finally. We've been waiting for years now for the Chargers breakout, and I think it's starting to happen. Give me the Chargers at number 9. Number 8, the Minnesota Vikings. This is the one I'm most iffy on. The Vikings don't pass the eye test, but they have such a good record where you have to respect it. They're 7-2 on the year. They just beat the Jaguars without scoring a touchdown. So there's that. They won 12-7. They didn't score a touchdown, but they're 7-2. 7-2 is no fluke. 7-2 is no fluke whatsoever. So I'll have the Vikings at 8, but I think a dramatic fall-off might be coming for the Minnesota Vikings. I just don't know if Sam Darnold and this core can keep it together for a whole season. We'll have to wait and see. It's a really good story. But for now, give me the Vikings at 8. At number 7, I have the Commanders. Wow. I haven't had a lot of time to talk about the Commanders on the show, but they have really, really turned their whole franchise around in a matter of one season. They went from being some of the one of the most looked down upon teams in the NFL to now being one of the most up-and-coming teams, mainly because of Jaden Daniels. By far the best rookie from that class. He is going to be a problem for teams for years to come in Washington. We're going to see it firsthand this Thursday as an Eagles fan, as the Commanders take on the Eagles. I had them a bit higher on my list, but they lost to the Steelers, so I have to drop down to number 7. But if you told any Commanders fan that they'd be the 7th best team in Week 10 of the NFL season, they'd be ecstatic. Give me the Commanders at 7, then give me the Steelers at number 6. Steelers at 6, they barely beat the Commanders by 1 point, so I have them slightly ahead of the Commanders. This is just a vintage. The Steelers finally have a really good quarterback. Russell Wilson is playing incredible football with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it kind of goes to show, I don't think Russ was the problem in Denver. I think we can officially write that off for sure now. Denver was just the problem for Russ. Russ was not the problem for Denver. He is balling out in Pittsburgh. You know the Steelers are going to have a great defense with T.J. Watt. The running attack with Najee Harris. They had some weapons now. They got Mike Williams alongside George Pickens on the outside. Steelers, they got a unit. They have a really good team. It would not shock me if the Steelers make a run this year. It really would. They have all the makings of what it takes to be a Super Bowl contender. The Steelers are that team, and it's not a team that I would want to see. If I'm an NFL fan, I do not want to be playing the Steelers anytime soon. You guys are probably wondering where I have the Eagles. Is there going to be a lot of bias, a little bit of bias? I'm going to put them at number 5. I think that's pretty respectable. Give me the Eagles at number 5. I just don't know how to fully feel about my team yet. I don't know. I've been impressed with what I've seen in the recent weeks, but I need to see it against a quality team. We looked really good against the Bengals, but the Bengals have not been great. Looked good against the Jags, looked good against the Giants, looked good against the Cowboys. I need to see it against a really good team before I put them in this upper echelon. For now, I'm keeping it at number 5. I'll keep this section brief. I talk about the Eagles for like the first 20 minutes of the show, but I have the Eagles at number 5. Number 4, we're almost there. Give me the Baltimore Ravens with the MVP frontrunner Lamar Jackson, who is just, again, having an incredible regular season. The question with the Ravens is, can it translate to postseason success? That's what we've been waiting on year after year after year. But again, having another phenomenal regular season with Derrick Henry, which was one of the best pickups of the offseason, probably the best running back in the NFL right now. Defense is good per usual. This running attack is probably the best in the league. Ravens at number 4, which then leads me to the Buffalo Bills at number 3. What an impressive year for the Bills. Josh Allen, they lost a lot of pieces this year, and people were ready to write off the Bills, ready to write off Josh Allen, and he said, no to the no, to the no, 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 no. We are still a force to be reckoned with, and the Bills are one of the best teams in the AFC. I don't think they're the best team in the AFC. I think we all know who I have at number 1. The Bills at number 3, I like what I see. They're playing great team football. Again, though, kind of same story as the Ravens. Can they get over the hump and beat who I think is the number 1 team? But before we get to the number 1 team, I have the Detroit Lions at number 2. Kind of just talk about the Lions when I was talking about their Sunday night game, but just playmakers all over the field. Dan Campbell has that defense playing lights out. And if they just get their playmakers the ball with their two-headed running back monster with Dave Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, they're going to win a lot of football games. I think they're the team to beat right now in the NFC, which then leads me to number 1. They're undefeated. They're back-to-back Super Bowl champions. It's the Kansas City Chiefs. I haven't looked great in most of their wins, but they're winning football games. And I'll be darned, I will never bet against Patrick Mahomes. I will not do it. I just will not do it. As long as Patrick Mahomes is on the Chiefs and they're winning football games, I think they're always going to be the number 1 team in the NFL for the foreseeable future. They're undefeated. Chiefs are the team to beat. So we'll go down the list again. If you want to react, I got Packers at 10, Chargers at 9, Vikings 8, Commanders 7, Steelers 6, Eagles 5, Ravens 4, Bills 3, Lions 2, Chiefs 1. I think it's the perfect list. It's the best top 10 list you'll ever see. If you want to react, number 717-356-9269. Again, that's 717-356-9269. Feel free to leave your thoughts. We're going to take another quick timeout. When we come back, we're talking the Sixers, we're talking the Phillies, and we're talking some Jake Paul, Mike Tyson. You're not going to miss it. We'll be back in a few minutes. What's going on, guys? You're listening to JD Dorazio on WSYC 88.7 FM, Shippensburg, Pennsylvania. We serve your community. Here with you guys for a little bit longer. We're going to be changing gears a little bit. We're going to talk about the Sixers, some Phillies, then a little bit of boxing. We're going to take your calls as well. Have time probably a couple more if you want to get in. Number 717-356-9269. 717-356-9269 to get in. Let's talk about those Sixers as the absolute fire dump that's the Sixers season continues. As they suffer another injury, Tyrese Maxey gets hurt a few games ago. Now he's out for a few weeks with a hammy injury. The Sixers currently are tied for the least amount of wins in the NBA with 2. I talked about a couple weeks ago, maybe it was last week or the week before. It's really hard for me to be invested about basketball this early on in the season. It's hard for me to be invested about Sixers basketball, period, just because they continually, over and over again, break our hearts. But I do know they are better than 2 wins, and they will be better. The reinforcements are coming. Joel Embiid, he's going to be back tomorrow. That just came out now. That's breaking news if you didn't catch it earlier. Joel Embiid will be back tomorrow for the 76ers. But I think what we can take away and what we can learn from what we've seen out of the Sixers, who are currently 2-7, and again, tied for last in the NBA in wins, what we can learn from this is that this shows the value of Joel Embiid. For all the Joel Embiid haters that want him traded, look what we have without Joel Embiid when we had Tyrese Maxey and Paul George. I guess they didn't really get to play together. But even regardless, without Joel Embiid, this team is just a dump. We need Joel Embiid. We need him. We need Joel Embiid. This stretch is proving why. It's proving exactly why Joel Embiid is so valuable, so important. The 76ers are nothing without Joel Embiid. Cannot wait to see the big man back on the court, and we'll see what they can do. Again, I'm not getting my hopes up. You'll never catch me getting my hopes up about the Sixers. But I do know they're better at 2-7, and I can promise you right now they're not going to be this bad forever. They're going to make a run, and hopefully it's going to start super soon as they try to climb back to the NBA playoff rankings. Speaking of the NBA rankings, the Cleveland Cavaliers, are still undefeated at 11-0. Super impressive. Just wanted to give them a shout out. Don't really have a whole lot more to add on to there. Not the biggest basketball guy, but 11-0, 11 games in, super impressive. Cleveland Cavs, I tip my cap. Let's talk about the Phillies. Don't have a whole lot about the fight-ins this week. It looks like the Phillies are probably likely out on the Juan Soto sweepstakes. John Middleton made some statements the other day about Juan Soto, and it's looking like it's not likely the Phillies are going to get the New York Yankees outfielder. It looks like he's going to stay in New York. It's a question of if it's going to be the Mets or the Yankees. I still think the Phillies should do whatever it takes to try to get Juan Soto. I think we should at least try to have a meeting with him, pitch him, give him the money that he deserves. We can definitely be the highest bidders for Juan Soto if we want to be, and I think he deserves it. Again, I don't think we're going to. I don't think we're going to get him. But if you're going to stay in New York, please stay Yankee. Do not wear the blue and orange. I do not need Juan Soto in a Mets uniform for the next decade. I can't do it. Just stay a Yankee. We can play you once a year, maybe twice a year if we see you in the postseason. I can live with that. Stay a Yankee. Just stay in the AL if you're not going to be a Philly. And apparently the Phillies are also going after Roki Sasaki. I apologize for pronouncing his name wrong. He's the top Japan prospect. It's kind of the same thing with Yamamoto. The Phillies went after him really hard, but the Phillies are just not in the right market for Japanese pitchers. They've been trying to go after these Japan guys for a while. They never ever want to come to the East Coast. I know I'm butchering his last name. Let me get the pronunciation right now in the air because I know I'm butchering this so bad. But he's gonna be a Dodger. He is gonna be a Dodger. I'm trying to view the pronunciation online. Saoski. Okay, it's Saoski. Got it. Saoski. He's gonna be a Dodger. He's gonna be a Dodger. We all know it. He's gonna join Ohtani, Yamamoto. And their pitching lineup's going to get that much more good. Dodgers are going to be a really big problem next year. There's no way the Phillies are getting Saoski. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Again, I wish they could. I don't think it's going to happen. So that's really all we got for the Phillies. As we get closer to spring training, we'll have more Phillies news. For now, it's just kind of a waiting game in free agency. We'll see what happens. But I want to talk about right now, though, before we go off the air. I have a few more minutes left. I want to talk a little about boxing. I'm a big... more of a casual, but I like watching the UFC fights. I like watching the big boxing events from a casual perspective, but I still enjoy it. And there's a big one coming up this weekend. Mike Tyson returning to the ring to face Jake Paul in an exhibition boxing match. I want to talk about it. I got a call that's talking about it, so let's hear what this caller has to say here on WSYC 88.7 FM, talking about the Jake Paul-Mike Tyson fight.
Hey man, it's Steph from high school, man. I'd like to talk about Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight real quick. As much as I would, love to see Mike Tyson win, the chances of that seem pretty slim, seeing as Jake Paul is, 20 years younger than him. I know they're fighting at a heavy class. Jake, that's where his disadvantage is at. He was fighting around 185. And I think Mike's going to put up a great fight. He looks in great condition right now, but I gotta say, I think Jake Paul's gonna take this one home. Hopefully not knock out Mike Tyson and do him dirty like that, but knockout would be pretty cool to see, but let's just hope it's not on.
I don't know about you. I mean, I don't care if it's Jake Paul or Mike Tyson. I want to see the knockout. I mean, that's what we watch boxing for, right? I want to see the knockout. This is a really intriguing fight. Again, thanks for the call, Zep. If you don't know, Zep's a good buddy of mine from high school baseball. We have some great memories. We'll try to get him on the show in person. Have him sit next to me. We can talk some sports. We got to get that happen. Regardless, appreciate the call, brother. But this is a really intriguing fight because it's the perfect matchup in a weird way. You got a 50-year-old Mike Tyson who can still lay it down with the best of them, but people don't really know what his conditioning's like. How's he going to be like against an up-and-coming boxer with Jake Paul, who I know people like to hate on Jake Paul, but his boxing resume is really not that shabby. It really is not that shabby. I can't wait to see what happens. As much as I want a knockout, I think I'd be absolutely shocked. I'll say it right now. This fight will not end in a knockout. I'm putting it out there right now. You heard it here first. I'm predicting it. Jake Paul, Mike Tyson will not end in a knockout. I think it's going to go the distance. I really do. I understand that Mike Tyson is 50-plus years of age. What is Mike Tyson's age? Let's see. Let's ask Google. Mike Tyson's age. Mike Tyson is 58 years old. But I'm predicting this fight to go the distance. It's not a super long fight. Just with Mike Tyson's age, he would never agree to a super long fight. Yeah, it's 8 rounds, 8 2-minute rounds. Mike Tyson at the age of 58 can handle 8 2-minute rounds. I think it's going to go the distance. I really don't know who's going to win. They might do the draw thing. I really hope it's not a draw. If I have to pick. Oh, man. A lot of people are going to hate me for this. I think Jake Paul, if I had to pick, I think Jake Paul is going to win. If I have to pick, I think I'm leaning with Jake Paul. I just don't think Mike Tyson's going to be able to land the big hit. I think he's going to get tired. I don't know. It's going to be a fun fight, though. I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I'm super intrigued. It's going to be an awesome fight on Netflix. I'm going to be watching it with my girlfriend, Emily. I'm going down to Pittsburgh this weekend, actually. I'm going to be in the student section for the Pitt-Clemson game. I promised her, if she's listening, I told her I was going to talk about the Pitt football team this week. I didn't get to do it last week. This is going to be a really big game against Clemson. One of the biggest games that Pitt has had in a while. Now, they're 7-2. They had 2 bad losses to MSU and Virginia in back-to-back weeks. But if they get a win against Clemson, they still have a chance to make some noise in the ACC. I really hope Pitt can win because I'm ready to storm the field with the fellow Pitt Panther student sections that I'm going to be with. Would love to say that I stepped foot on the Heinz Field. And yes, I'm calling it Heinz Field, not Acrisure Field or Acrisure. I don't even know what the heck the new sponsor's called. I don't really care. It's Heinz Field. I want to stay that I stepped foot on the Heinz Field. So let's go Pitt Panthers. Let's get the big dub, the big upset against Clemson this weekend. Let's have ourselves an awesome weekend as I'll be heading down to the campus of Pittsburgh University. Got 2 quick previews, then we're going to head off the air. Eagles Commanders coming up on Thursday. Commanders, fun fact, they might be 7-3, but all 7 of their wins are against teams under 500. They're 0-3 against 500 teams, so I know everyone's trying to hype up the Commanders. They haven't beat a good team yet. I'm not saying they're bad. Good teams beat the teams they're supposed to beat. Just something to keep your eye on, just something to keep on the back burner. But huge division implications. Like I said, the Eagles currently up a half game on the Commanders. If they can get the win, that's going to give them a huge advantage. If the Commanders win, then they're going to hold the tiebreaker on the Eagles for at least the near future. How do the Eagles perform on a short week? These short week games are scary. Thursday Night Football can get scary when your home team's playing just because of all the injuries. The biggest takeaway, win or loss, is just hope. Pray, fingers crossed, that everyone stays healthy, specifically Saquon, AJ, Jalen, the big playmakers who have had injury histories. Just need everybody to stay healthy. I'm actually curious to see how this Eagles defense, who has been really good, reacts against a really good mobile quarterback. We really haven't seen them against a super mobile quarterback yet this season, so I'm really curious to see how they're going to do against Jaden Daniels. But you know who I'm picking. I'm rocking with the Birds. I think it's going to be very close. But I'm going to go with the Eagles 27-24. Give me the Birds on Thursday Night Football. Make sure to get your Amazon Prime subscription if you need it. Going to be live on Thursday. Then Rams-Dolphins. Rams and Dolphins tonight on Monday Night Football. I'm rocking with the Miami Dolphins. We're due for a Tyreek Hill breakout game. It's going to happen tonight. Tua's finally going to have a great game on primetime TV. It's going to happen. Give me the Dolphins tonight. Give me the Eagles on Thursday, and give me another great week of sports. This is JD Dorazio on WSYC 88.7 FM, on the YouTube, on the Instagram, on the TikTok, however you may be watching and listening. I appreciate the love all the same. If you want to get on the show next week, feel free to call in at 717-356-9269. I want to thank everybody who did leave a call this show. We pretty much got to all of them. If we didn't get to you, I apologize. We'll try to get to you next time. You can leave your calls for next week's show, and we'll catch you next time. This is JD Dorazio signing off. Catch you next Monday, 6 p.m. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.